Kings, queens, and in-betweens, welcome back to the City Boys podcast. Okay, I haven't done the intro in a while, so we're going to run with that one. But welcome back to the podcast, home of the three City Boys. We've got an awesome show covering a pretty mediocre team. So we're going to have a lot to discuss today. It might get a little heated. We'll see. We will see. But let's start with the lads themselves. Ethan, what's good, brother?
Another day in paradise, gentlemen. I am glad to be with you guys. Like you mentioned, Grayson, it's a pretty mediocre team that we have to talk about. Honestly, that might be generous, but it's better to... Misery loves company, so I'm glad that I'm not suffering alone, and I'm here with my best friends to rant about it. Jacob, how are you doing, boss?
Well, a full 24 hours removed from the game we're going to be covering, I feel a lot better than I did last night. The day went pretty great. Payday's tomorrow. Can't wait for that check to hit the bank account. Haircut inbound, bottomless wings inbound, $3 margaritas inbound.
Uh-oh.
City not winning a game also inbound. Yeah, so the highs and lows of being a sports fan is really my life right now. Grayson, how are you doing?
I'm doing good, all things considered, just doing a lot of big life stuff at the moment. So kind of busy, but it's, I wish I had a good soccer team to distract me from all that. The Premier
You're asking
League,
a lot there,
I
dude.
know. Premier League's coming to a close. I'm gonna miss it. I'm gonna miss it, man. It's great. So very soon, all City fans will only have St. Louis City to rely on for weekend soccer entertainment. So we need something. We need something to happen. I think we're gonna get into what these somethings could be later on. But basically today we're going to talk about what went wrong, maybe even talk about what went almost right for St. Louis City as we faced our rivals, Sporting Kansas City, at home in Energizer Park. It started off great. Things started to look really good. I think I'd disagree with Olaf. I thought the first half was really good.
Yep.
If you guys didn't see the post-match presser, Olaf said that the first half was one of the worst halves we've played all season.
It's because we scored.
I don't
Two
see it.
goals,
Yeah, it's
yeah.
because he doesn't like scoring. He likes playing defense. So. But yeah, let's go ahead and break down some of the bigger moments from this match. But we're gonna start off with the lineups for this game.
Yes,
It's a
sir.
pretty similar lineup.
Yeah, it had a slight variation to it, which I kind of appreciated. I thought that changing from a 3-4-1-2 or even a 3-4-3 to a 3-5-2 is a super nuanced change. It doesn't sound that different. I was trying to explain to my fiance who loves soccer. She loves the game. She played it. She gets it. When I told her that there was a formation change and told her the number, she looked at me funny. She did not
Fair.
think that's a big difference. But to St. Louis City's credit, it is a little different. I will start from the back because there was a big change in St. Louis City starting 11. And Roman Berkey starting in net. Our captain, RB1, is back in between the sticks. And he was called into action, no doubt about it. From left to right, we had three center backs on this match with Kyle Hebert on the left, Timo Baumgartel in the center, and Joshua Yarrow starting in the right center back position. From left to right across the midfield now, Celio Pompeu occupies the left midfield, left wing back position. Three center midfielders going from left to right: Marcel Hartel, Conrad Vollum, and Thomas Ostrak. That is the biggest difference between the 3-5-2 and the 3-4-1-2. Three flat center mids, and I think that benefited us greatly in this matchup. Finishing up in the midfield, Akil Watts starting in the right wing back role. The two strike strikers, Zhao Klaus and Seti Toy Shirt starting up top for St. Louis City. We would see some fairly important substitutes throughout the match as well. Henry Kessler would make his return from injury just for around 15 minutes, so not too long, a cameo appearance, but glad to see him. Jake Girdwood Reich comes onto the field. Boys, I almost forgot that we signed him.
Where has he been?
I forgot that St. Louis City had a player that wore the number 3 on there. It was almost shocking.
Yeah.
Joey Zielinski makes his MLS debut. Great stuff from the lad. Love to see that. He scored that screamer in the U.S. Open Cup, and I know that fans, not just the City Boys, are extremely high on Joey Zielinski. Glad to see him get a good run out. And the final 2 substitutions, Simon Betcher for Joao Klaus. I think that's pretty cut and dry. And Jande Silva coming on for Cedric Toy Shirt. Boys, what did we think of the lineup? Did we like the changes? Did we like the substitution? Should we have a different starting 11? Yada, yada, yada. So much to talk about. Jacob, I want to start with you. What did you make of this lineup?
I didn't like it on paper, and then I saw how it performed in that first half, and I think I speak for probably every single City fan. After the first half, I was over the moon. I was really, really pleased. I even texted you guys saying, I think we look ... good? Question mark.
Yeah.
So I liked the starting lineup. I have a lot of issues with the timing of substitutions. Not necessarily the personnel, but how late in the match it took for them to happen. But Grayson, what did you make of the lineup?
Yeah, sadly I was at work during this match, so I was hiding in the bathroom pretty often. I hope my boss doesn't see this. But I actually did not see the starting lineup until game time, because City likes to post on Instagram their alphabetical order lineup, which I absolutely hate.
Same.
It's just so annoying, but I did see the names on the team sheet, and I liked the names. Of course, it was awesome to see Roman Berkey back in the starting lineup. That's going to be massive for the rest of the season. It's nice to have Kessler getting some minutes back on. It's nice to see a debut for Zielinski, but same old. I did think that the midfield was much improved this game. I think Ostrich has been massive in the resurgence of this midfield. Valum improving in the midfield. I think, honestly, he might need some more time to really gel into the midfield role after playing a lot of wingback this year. Honestly, wouldn't mind seeing him back at wingback once we have more of our midfield back to health. But, I mean, as many people heard, a couple more players picked up injuries right before game time. So Giannis Horn picked up an injury crossing the ball during practice the day before the match. And then someone else, who was it? Was it Tottenham? No.
I think it was Chris Durkin re-aggravated.
Yeah, it was Chris.
His knee, which is really frustrating. I gotta say, I think that there's so much left up to interpretation about these training injuries. It has been somewhat of a pattern that it seems like it takes place right before the games. I don't know if the training staff, if it has much to do with them, if it has to do with the training plan. I know that Tom Franklin was calling for the head of the physical performance.
Yeah,
I don't
called
even
him out by name, but I honestly don't know his name.
Get that deep. Yeah, I was surprised. I have to say though, I think injuries just are a part of sport, and it sucks. It's super frustrating. Don't get me wrong. I'm just as frustrated as the rest of you about these freak injuries that especially happen in training, and it seems like have plagued St. Louis City since year one. So I am refraining from pointing fingers, and I'm just going to wish the players the best in recovering, man. It sucks, dude, dealing with injuries like that.
I will say there is one kind of contradiction that was said in the press conference post game with Olaf that I was just a little conflicted about, because the question was about the substitutions and how Olaf believes that there's so many players in this team that aren't 90-minute fit. And so we need to work on our fitness and training. But at the same time, we have players getting injured all the time in training and they're gassed. So, like, what are we doing to get them to fitness? Are we working them out even more, or like, are we letting them rest? I mean, obviously, it goes way above my pay grade, way above my knowledge. I did do athletic training for a little bit, but at the same time, it's like, it's a little contradictory to be like, these players are like, they need to be match fit. Yeah, but they can't be match fit if we just keep getting them injured. So, like,
Also, when you've got a game on a Saturday, then a Wednesday, then a Saturday, then a Wednesday, like
it's gonna get worse.
there's so much game congestion happening right now that if we're pushing the players too hard in training, like honestly, this is bound to happen. You're bound to pick up knocks in training.
And this is on an already injury-riddled St. Louis City team. We're missing Chris Durkin, who was recovering. We're still missing Thomas Totland. Edu Lovin still remains out. And yes, Jay Reed is recovering, but I'm not sure that he makes it into the starting 11 with a healthy Conrad Vollum at the moment. And with Giannis Horn healthy, I'm not sure as well. Before we move on from the starting 11, I do want to give my 2 cents on how that shook out, because I was impressed with the midfield as well, Grayson. I thought that was one of Thomas Ostrak's best performances in a City jersey so far. At the very least this season, I was very impressed at his ability to create space for himself. It was reminiscent for me of Luciano Acosta, just that kind of skill to drop your shoulder and create 2 yards of space. And whether it's to take that space or find a pass, it was beautiful to watch, really, from Thomas Ostrak. And I think St. Louis City's midfield has been missing that kind of finesse as well as shiftiness. It hasn't been missing a dogged work ethic. We've seen Marcel Hartel run the miles on the field, Conrad Vollum's intensity, but a player that just, it seems like, just slips out of a defender's grasp like that is so much fun to watch. I also really like seeing Timo Baumgartel start in the center of the defense. I know that we've talked about that before on this show, that I think his ball winning ability, first of all, gives him the keys to that position for me. And his ball distribution is, in my opinion, better than Josh Yarrow and Kyle Hebert. Between he and Henry Kessler, I think Henry Kessler might take it and should be the center back in that in a back three that includes them both. But I was impressed by Timo's performance.
Could you just imagine them in a back four? Two central center backs that win balls and can distribute from the center of the park like that.
Anchored with a couple of very good attacking fullbacks like Thomas Totland and Giannis Horn, who can also do a job defensively.
Crazy, we're calling for a 4-back when at the end of the season last year we were like, maybe it's a 3-back is the solution.
Yeah, the thing is, like, when we got Olaf, we were planning on, I guess we were always planning on going back planning on going to a 5-back, which is probably why Josh Yarrow ended up staying in the offseason. Because we have, like, they've mentioned it so many times, all of our center backs are more fitted to playing in a back three rather than a back four. Last season, we didn't play back three once, so why do we have all these players? Like,
it's just for depth for a back five, truly.
And so now we have a back five,
and everyone's hurt.
We don't want to play a back five. So, yeah, it's interesting roster building. There's some questions to be had, but, you know, I think that's a question I have for later. But any more questions about the lineup before we talk about some of the bigger moments?
I do actually have one more comment on the starting 11, and that is that I want to see Joey Zielinski go at least 60 minutes. I want to see him start. I want to see what he can do and what he can bring from that starting role. I know the lights are going to be bright for an MLS debutant. I know he just made his debut in the league against Sporting Kansas City. That's a huge ask, and I think that is an even bigger moment to start. But I think against Minnesota this weekend would be a very good opportunity to get him this experience.
He'll have
I
his
won't give
hands
my
full.
He absolutely will have his hands full,
Yeah.
Jacob. But I want to see Joey Zielinski have his hands full. I've seen Akil Watts with his hands full, and I wasn't the biggest fan. So I until Thomas Totland has returned to full health, I would love to see a Joey Zielinski start. And that's the
Trial
final
by
comment I have.
fire. I love trial by fire, and I honestly think that at the moment, as sad as this is, I don't think a lot of St. Louis City fans have a lot of expectations for this weekend. So bringing out as many players that need the minutes as we can, screw it.
Yeah, I don't think we're in a full blown start all the young kids, get them experience, look forward to next year moment
For the
yet.
draft.
But when you can get minutes here and there for certain players like a Joey Zielinski, I think right now is a good time to see what they're made of against honestly a higher quality opponent than Sporting Kansas City is.
Much better.
All I'm saying is we've seen everyone in this lineup except for Jean De Silva. I think we still can see more of Celio.
Celio
Zielinski.
apparently wasn't going to start until Horn got injured,
What does it take?
which is wild. I mean, especially the game that Celio ended up having.
Yeah, and the inconsistency with him in the starting 11 he mentioned in his presser was it's been difficult for him. He seems to be a player that thrives on confidence and consistency, and his impact this season, at the very least for the fans, cannot be understated. On the field, I know he's had some questionable moments. The player like Celio, though, I think you have to leave out there. He brings the energy that
I think you leave him out there till the
exemplifies
65th
City.
minute.
I mean,
65th
good, and
minute.
I was just gonna say we're even playing him at left wing back now. So like he's playing out of position and still doing the job. So
Yeah, I would say he kind of threw his defensive responsibilities out of the window after he scored that banger. He was kind of like, I'm going to go forward.
that's what I wanted.
I think I saw him maybe 10 yards into the defensive half.
He
in the
left
second
Kyle
half,
Hebert on a couple islands there.
Hey,
only to talk
wing
shit
backs
in Shopee
are supposed to
Suleiman
be
here.
high as hell.
I do not want Snoop Dogg wingbacks all the time, Grayson. Sometimes I
That's
want
how it's gonna work.
Martha
You want
Stewart.
you want Akil Watts' strategy then? We can do that too.
I don't know, man. I would not be opposed to seeing a back four at some point, whether it's in the league or in an Open Cup match. But frankly, I think there is more on the line, more at stake in the Open Cup game coming up against Minnesota on next Wednesday.
Yeah, dude, we have to play them back to back, bro.
Yeah.
I don't think there's any team in the league that wants to play Minnesota back to back. Nonetheless, a team that has not won in its last 9.
I haven't won since
More
March.
on that later. Let's talk about these goals. Let's talk about the only 2 positives from this match. We're gonna start off with, of course, Celio Pompeiu's goal, cutting in on the right. You know, I think this is not as aesthetically pleasing as his goal last year against Kansas City, just because of the added buildup from João Klaus smashing Willie Agata.
Fair.
But the pure, just lining it up, beautiful bend, just keeper had no chance. It was just absolutely stunning. Love to see it from Celio, and you can see so many times in every match he wants that. That's his spot, and
He's
you can see
been
him line it up.
fairly shit with his attempts up until this goal. We've seen him try to line it up, rip the shot, it goes wide, or he doesn't end up taking the shot and he makes the bad pass. But it was really nice goal, and really nice to see this come off for him.
Absolutely.
I do want to shout out, and this is the only time I'm going to do it in this episode. I'm pretty sure it was Akil Watts whose efforts won us that corner kick. So taking it back
that high
a
press
step further. Shout out to Akil Watts for winning us that corner kick.
Agreed. Good call out, Jacob. That is a good moment for Akil Watts in this game. Good call.
There was that the moment where I texted Akil as a dog?
Yeah. I think so.
Yeah, because he was that was so much aggression in that moment for him, and then.
Well, I remember in the first 15 minutes, Jacob mentioned that Akil Watts had looked lively. He was involved in the game. He reminded me of an Akil Watts that was playing up to the center mid role when he needed to fill the shoes of Edu Lovin last season. That's what he looked like in the first half. And
again, the 60th goddamn minute. The 60th minute is so important for wingback substitutions, which I will harp on later.
Let's talk about this second goal. This one I actually did not see during the match. I turned on the game as I was walking out, and I caught the celebration. So I saw the text, and they were like, was it Ostrich or was it Toykert?
It's pretty hilarious. It's a hilarious goal.
To me, it's like, okay, of course, extremely lucky. Mm-hmm. So, to me, it's like we're extremely lucky that we didn't lose this match, because that goal was the only thing separating us, and it was a complete lucky goal. So I wish St. Louis had so many chances to go 3-up, and like Marcel Hartel's 1v1 with the keeper goes to Megum, keeper saves it with his ass.
Celio had 2 ego shots. When he had that tight angle at goal and he goes for far post, that was his closest of his 2 ego shots. And then the next one is when he picks it up at midfield, drives forward, and has another go. And it's a slow roller to the keeper. I do think both of those chances he made an incorrect decision. Granted, he was flying high from his curler goal earlier in the game, and so why not? But at the end of the day, you look at the replays on both chances, he had 4 open options he could have played to.
You could tell he was playing with confidence, and that is Celio Pompeu when playing with confidence. He's calling his own number every time.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's true. 2 more goals to talk about, gentlemen. 2 more goals, and sadly, they came from the team in blue, not the team in red. So, the first goal we're going to talk about is from the left back Voloder. I don't know, man. But honestly, great bit of tiki-taka play from Kansas City's offense here. I think Voloder flicks it up to Shallowy, maybe? I can't exactly remember who heads it on, but flicks it up to another Kansas City player who one touch back to him with his head, leaves him in on goal, and he slips it under Roman to make it 2-1 and start the comeback. There's been a lot of discourse about this specific goal on whether or not it is Akil Watts' fault. I know Ethan and I both tuned into the Soccer Zombie emergency press conference post-match show, and they debated about this goal for quite some time as well, but I wanted to get your guys' opinions as well. What do you guys think about this goal? Would you maybe put it on someone else at team defending, or was it just good quality Kansas City?
Go ahead, Jacob, because I can go on this one.
I think it is a group defensive lapse in judgment. So Kyle Hebert is tracking the player you forgot is Manu Garcia. Tracking Manu Garcia across the top of the box, and then once Hebert is far enough out of position, he peels off, and no one then takes over to step forward. for Kyle Hebert. So we cannot be leaving Manu Garcia with no pressure on him. Issue number one, no one steps, whether it be another center back or another center mid.
Yep.
And then, yes, Akil Watts absolutely is at least half at fault for this goal, because the 1-2 between Leibold and Shallowy, he just watches the ball, literally ball watching it get passed around him instead of tracking the run of Leibold. We have enough guys there in the midfield to press the pass back that all he has to do is turn his shoulder with the player and continue to run with him. But instead, he gets burned on a really nice 1-2 that genuinely shouldn't have happened to begin with.
Well said, Jacob. It shouldn't have happened to begin with. That is peak analysis. That should be full stop. A center mid should have picked up Garcia after Kyle Hebert. What I see is also credit where credit's due. It's a good play. It's good build up from SKC there. The 1-2 there is pulled off well. Akil Watts, like you said though, Jacob, just gets put in a blender a little bit. He turns and faces the ball. He watches it get played off Shallowy's head back to the man that he should have been marking. And I'm not saying that Akil Watts needs to win the ball. He doesn't need to intercept Shallowy's header. He doesn't need to make sure the pass doesn't get through initially. He just needs to make it a lot more difficult for Tim Leibold on the finish there. And Akil Watts is in no man's land. It's a bad looking clip if you are a high level defender. And it's not just on Akil Watts, okay, but like you said, it's a 50-50 team lapse in defending and poor defending from Akil there. If Akil Watts has an arm or a hip on Tim Leibold there, who knows what happens, but he's too free there. So that's all I'm gonna say about it. That goal really fired me up though, because it does look like he is just, oh wow, what an incredible buildup on the top of my defensive area. They put it in the back.
I would like to take this time to harp on substituting your wingbacks. So this goal comes in the 70th minute, right? Akil Watts has run so many miles in 70 minutes of play playing wingback, because in a 3-back formation with your wingbacks, you are asking them to cover so much ground in doing both defensive and attacking responsibilities that they're going to wear out a lot faster than, let's say, a central defender. So I'm going to put 25% of the blame on the fact that Akil Watts hadn't had a substitution yet, and then lo and behold, after we get scored on, I think the second time, because the second goal comes pretty quick afterwards, that's when we see Joey Zielinski come on, and it's like, was no one watching his heart rate monitor to see the levels of output that he was doing, that he does in training, and then with all of our state-of-the-art training tools that we have, not be able to see that those numbers equal exactly where Akil Watts' ability drops drastically off? Like, no one on the bench is walking up to assistant coach who's head coach for the game being like, hey, we need to get Akil Watts off the field, like, maybe at the 60th minute, and it's the 70th minute. He's like 10 minutes past due. So I have a big issue with the fact that he was still on the field.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's partly on the player, mostly on the team. But I think my main point from this specific play and the reaction of the fan base is, when we are debating if a player made a mistake and your only response is that Kansas City was just better, just a good play. If you think that Kansas City is better, our season's over. If Kansas City's better than us, our season's over. We're not making playoffs. That's it. Like, you need to be able to take responsibility, call out players who aren't good enough. And, if Kansas City is better than us, so be it. We have a lot of work to do. But
we do have a lot of work to do.
We do have a lot of work to do, because right now Kansas City is better than us.
Well, let's talk about this final goal, shall we?
Yes, sir. Final goal is Dejan Joveljic, the marksman, with a absolutely towering header, a crazy header to be fair, off of a set piece. And yeah, I think it's the ball falls to Joveljic, uh, who is I
Falls
will
is
say
crazy. That's an incorrect term. He got up there for that header.
yes, yes. But what I'm saying, what the main point for this goal is Simon Betcher is marking three players for this goal.
Yeah.
Like he's holding two players on either side, and Joveljic is above him. Like he can't even jump for that. Why does Simon Betcher, the striker, who can't even get a header on his end of the field when we're, trying to cross the ball to him, why are we expecting him to mark three players? Like, what is going on? Like, it's just terrible defensive marking there. Akil Watts is there, still doing nothing. And also, I'd like to point out, kept three players on sides for Kansas City in the beginning of that play. The only person keeping them on sides. They weren't part of the play, but if they were, I would have been mad. It was just a terrible goal. Defensively, not organized at the moment.
Not
Yeah.
not showing the kind of defensive passion or desire to keep your team in a leading position against your rival. I'll say that. I was not impressed with our set piece defending at all in that moment. And while I do really appreciate the back and forth between Celio and Suleimanov, I think that was potentially distracting in this moment. I think it in the moment it had a time and a place, and then I think it carried on for too long and became a distraction for St. Louis City. In that, because it's still going on in that specific moment, and I think
That's what wins them the free kick.
I think Suleimanov really enjoyed exactly, and I think Suleimanov was enjoying the villain role in Energizer Park, getting booed by 22,000 fans. It didn't look like it shook him up. I'll say that. He then proceeded to put in a delectable ball. His service was incredible. It's frustrating circumstances surrounding the lead up to both of those goals. And then the actual moment where the goals are scored are also very frustrating. It's not like we were outclassed for 90 minutes here, okay? It's not like they produced real moments of beauty or scored worldies. I mean, just self-inflicted wounds basically.
Can I tell you guys a little snippet of what I wrote here in my own breakdown of this goal?
Please.
And I'll leave the actual goal part out of it. I have here Celio's busy having a dick measuring contest with Suleimanov and concedes a foul in a dangerous area. Granted, it's like 45 yards out from goal, but the fact that it turns into a goal, that's a dangerous area. Especially because our set piece defending was tragic. Granted, I am happy for Celio and his goal. The Tifo pick, which we will show later, is absolutely fire. And I think he had a good game for 60-ish minutes. And then, truthfully, I think Celio's ego cost us the match. He stopped being an outlet pass, going from defense to offense. He just... all around, he stopped all of his responsibilities. He didn't want to defend unless it was 1v1 against Suleimanov, and even then, like, Celio's not a defender, so he was just looking to foul him and get his body on him and try and, literally have a dick measuring contest with him. And then when he was on the ball, all he wanted to do was take Suleimanov on 1v1 as opposed to looking for his options. Like, in the second goal, he realizes he's got two defenders on him, so he cuts inside and plays Ostrak. That didn't happen after Suleimanov honestly got in Celio's head more than Celio was in Suleimanov's head. And Suleimanov secures the draw for Kansas City in this match. So, I, unfortunately, am going to point a finger at the fact that we lost this game because of Celio's ego. And that's coming from me, of the three of us, the biggest ego on a soccer field.
I'm gonna say out of everyone on this podcast, if
Mm.
in a 3v3 match, okay, I like Jacob out of us to get into it like that with someone, okay. And that's good, okay. I think we need that energy. And like I said, dude, I appreciate that kind of moment where yeah, dude, you're our rival. I'm gonna get into you a little bit. I'm not gonna let you have anything easy, but then as it continues and drags on for 10, 12 minutes even, it just plays into the opponent's hands at that point.
It
And
dragged on all the way through the final whistle. They had to be separated.
yeah, I mean, it ended up bringing in other players into it. John De Silva eventually had his hand on Suleimanov's face. Frankly, I don't know how that
I don't know why
didn't
he didn't
end
get a
up.
red card.
Yeah, I don't know how we ended that match with 11 players. I'm glad we did. It seems like we are fortunate in that situation. And honestly, that the 70th minute onward felt like such a collapse of St. Louis City that it was shocking. Well, by the time we brought on the substitutions in Henry Kessler and Johnny and Simon Betcher, it was too late. We were too far gone. The match was not going in our favor by any means.
And I think that's another consistent theme of St. Louis City is that we don't know how to win matches that we are winning. Like we simply can't do that.
Insane.
And it was a another reason that Bradley Carnell got fired. He got fired because we were winning 3-0 at Vancouver and lost 4-3. Like it's a symptom of the club that we just can't get rid of.
Winning 4-1 at Portland, draw 4-4.
Oh, all
That
right.
game,
I can't hear it anymore, guys.
that game was painful.
How many points did we drop from leading positions last year? Because we could go through all of those games.
I mean, like something like 25, the most in the league. I know that. And
Yeah, I think it was like 21 to 25 points or something
The
like that.
last bit I want to bring up about this specific Celio stuff is kind of it's hard to discuss because we had Roman Berkey on the field, and I love Roman Berkey. I do think he deserves to be captain, but there was a serious lack of leadership in those dying minutes to calm everybody down, get us in order, so that we don't concede a game tying goal to our rivals. No calmer heads prevailed. Nobody was in Celio's ear like, "Hey, chill the fuck out. Do your job. Don't keep playing into Suleimanov's hands." And then when we have a dust up, everybody's at each other's throats, and it takes Roman Berkey running all the way out from his goal to separate everybody, as opposed to Hartel, who's been wearing the captain band. I didn't see him pulling anybody off of anybody. Thomas Ostrak's been here for 3 fucking years. He certainly has the ability to get in people's faces and pull people away from a moment like this. Like, we just wasted so much energy on a dust up that definitely should have been used on defending a set piece.
That's a really good point, Jacob, because I honestly like of course I don't know these players personally. I like to feel like I do, and I like to think that we could see their personalities on the pitch, but there's not too many players on this team that I instantly think like they have what it takes to be the team captain. Like, of course, the first person I think of would be Edu Leuven, but Edu Leuven, even when he is on the pitch, he's not very vocal. He's not very like
yeah,
he's not going around telling people what to do. He's more of a calmer head, like you said. So at the same time, as much as I think Leuven is our captain when he plays, I don't know if he has that ability to control the team and, help them move forward. I don't know if there's a player like that. Maybe
I don't
Kessler.
even think it is Leuven, because when he gets pissy, when Leuven gets an attitude, he lets it run the rest of his game. Like, we've
yeah.
seen him
Unfortunately,
get attitude yellow cards.
that cost him a red card this
Yeah.
season. He got sent off for a petulant second yellow card. I saw STL Soccer News post on some social media platform. I don't know at this point that Henry Kessler could be a future captain of STLSC, and I think I would love that.
I
Not
believe it.
only does he have the off the field chemistry with St. Louis, but He is that lieutenant general, that kind of Tim Parker energy that we have not had for some time. That Jacob, I completely agree. We are missing that on-field leadership, and it unfortunately does take Roman Berkey to have to run 60 yards all the way up to the half field line to break something up, and it shouldn't get to that point. I think we need a captain that can keep the water at a simmer and don't let it get to that boiling point. Does it like that's the kind of energy that St. Louis City need in a rivalry game such as the one that we just played?
All right.
Hold
So
on, hold on. The only thing about the dust up that did fire me up is John Day Silva's been here for a couple of weeks and he was going toes to toes for the boys. That is the only part of it where I was like, all right,
Facts.
we did get a dog. However, you need a cooler head.
he needs to start. He needs to start this weekend. He should be starting.
I would love to see him get one against Minnesota.
He is so good. Like his first turn when he first received the ball in this match against Kansas City, so smooth,
When
so
he just
smooth.
dummies it through his legs.
Yeah.
And
Matter of fact,
goes.
yeah, let's talk about Shande Silva for a second. His presence on the field is something that St. Louis City SC has desperately needed. I mean, he kind of has like that confident, like there's
Composure.
like I when I see him play, there looks like there is no one on the field that can even touch him. He is
Okay.
so
This, I know we were talking about which questions we were going to bring up in order, but this falls like directly into my question.
Well, we should say that what we're doing. Okay, so
Okay.
we are not doing points this week. Instead, because of what has happened, the City Boys have been left with a lot of things to wonder about. So we are going to be the ones asking the questions this week. So go ahead, Jacob. Ask
Okay.
your question.
Okay. So first off, it needs to be pointed out. Shout out to Mecca of Banter for this. I watched a TikTok of theirs literally after this game, and I was like, "Oh, this is a fantastic like talking point. I want to know what the boys have to say." So basically, the question is, in regards to John De Silva and Celio Pompeo, is there a disconnect between the player, the system, and management's vision for our dynamic talents, such as those two players?
Mm, I'm gonna say yes, there is a disconnect because that, in my mind, would be the only reason that Celio is not starting, is that he doesn't necessarily have the defensive discipline or desire. You can take your pick there with whatever adjective that a player like Conrad Vollum does. So even if Vollum is putting in kind of a desperate tackle, it's a defensive effort that Celio usually doesn't bring. So I think that that's the kind of nonstop player that Olaf is talking about, and where maybe that disconnect between Celio's ability and what the system is calling for. So that's a really good question. And I do believe that, at least in the case of Celio, there is a bit of disconnect between what the manager expects and what the player brings to the table.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's completely formation based. I think, well, Celio's best, position on the pitch is up high, out wide, little defensive responsibility. As a wingback, he
Yep.
can get wide and get high, but there's so much defensively he needs to be doing. That's not his game. And so he's gonna succeed when he gets up the pitch, no doubt. But it's that 50% of work he needs to be doing on the back end that's not gonna happen. You can try to get that out of him, but that's not his game. And to be fair, I don't want Celio playing defense. Nobody wants Celio playing defense on this team. And at the same time, I don't want to have to expect that out of Xande Silva. I don't want Xande Silva as a right wing back. I don't. I want him as a right wing, high and wide, with no defensive responsibility. And that's just not going to happen under Olaf. Like, it's not going to happen. These players are never going to get to play their specific position unless we play the three at the front, which we've only seen once this season. And I don't even think we got to see Celio play that game, anyways.
So then, do you think it wasn't it was strictly Lutz that ends up bringing in Jonde Silva. Like, no talking with Olaf about this potential signing because we've barely seen him and we haven't seen him in his best position. And when he has subbed on, it's been to be a striker.
Yeah, to me, it seems like it was a last second deal that we needed. Granted, I'm very happy about this deal.
I am
The,
too.
the money was right. Atlanta didn't want him for some reason. Like every expert I've seen talk about this trade say that it was a massive mistake by Atlanta, and I think it was a great pickup for St. Louis. I don't think it was wrong, but I do think it was all Lutz. I don't think Olaf had much to do with it besides saying, "Yeah, I want him on the team." And I don't think he's wrong to say that. But I would love to see some flexibility from Olaf. But at the same time, I agree with what Olaf is saying that we do not have the defensive quality to play a four back. Like, I totally understand because we've been seeing week in and week out how the best defense in the league, as we were called at the beginning of the season, is not a good defense.
Yeah, I mean, we're very hurt right now defensively. That's why I don't think we're. That's where I think the like disconnect is with what Olaf's saying is with the current crew of healthy players we have defensively, we are not fit to play a four back. But with everybody healthy, I think we are defensively sound enough to play a four back. It's just unfortunate right now we're playing Josh Yarrow and Kyle Hebert week in and week out and
I don't
they need somebody like a Timo or a Kessler in between them to be the glue on defense to keep everything together.
I think it's for sure that Kessler can play in a back four. I don't know who, maybe Kyle Hebert, but like I don't know who I would put next to Kessler to solidify that back four. Honestly,
Timo?
Timo doesn't do it for you.
I like we've seen it like a couple of times this year where I think you could say Timo was at fault for a couple of the goals in the back three. Uh, Columbus Crew didn't close out his man. Easy finish, bottom right corner. There's just a couple of moments. I'm not saying that he's bad, but that was in a back three. Like, it's going to be worse when you take another defender away from him.
Look, you're making a compelling argument there, Grayson. I just wonder how that factors in, like, because, okay, it's either going to be Josh Yarrow or Kyle Hebert. Take your pick. Maybe Giannis Horn plays next to Henry Kessler, but
Mm.
yeah, I like kind of what we talked about earlier. I like the idea of two ball-winning, ball-playing center backs that I don't disagree with you whatsoever. He could have done better on that Diego Rossi goal against the Columbus Crew. I don't have
Yeah,
any.
you pulling that out really
That was-
definitely throws a wrench in it for
Mhm.
sure.
Yeah, that definitely put a feather in the cap of your argument there. That definitely you're stunting a little bit now.
Ah, thanks.
However,
Thank you.
I don't know, man. I'd like to see it in practice. I also just don't know how we would fare with a pure back four right now.
Yeah, I agree. I want to see the back four. We've seen it once this season and we conceded. We scored two, but we also conceded two.
I think it would also help to have a true center defensive mid.
Is that JGR to you, Jacob?
I don't think he played well at all. I don't know where this love for JGR came from in last night's match. I thought he was trash, bro.
Damn.
Well, to be in his defense, he hasn't played MLS soccer
So why the fuck are we
Period.
playing him? Why
because
are we
he's
can
the
only
only
run.
he's the only player we have.
Why are
Yeah, dude.
why?
I think Wenzel was on the bench. I don't know. I
At
don't know,
least
man.
I wanna
Wenzel's
see
getting
Wenzel so
minutes
bad.
at City too.
I want
JGR
Wenzel.
hasn't played since last year.
Man,
I want to
or
see JGR on City too.
I would rather Miguel Perez come on the field than JGR at this point. And
I'm not saying Miggy's bad, but I don't think he's the answer. But I would like to see him.
I know he's gonna put in a 2-foot tackle if he
He's gonna
gets
try.
beat.
yeah, I mean, look, there's a reason he didn't get that much clock at the Birmingham Legion, okay? And that the USL, as we have learned through the Open Cup, at least this season, is a bit of a
It is
lesser
fine.
league.
Yeah, I got a great lesson on that via TikTok.
I was gonna. What question are we doing next? Are we just Is it me?
Yeah, I definitely jumped the line, so
Oh,
we can
yeah,
start
you
at the
should-
beginning.
Skipped
I think
me.
I think I'm doing mine last. I was
Okay, I
definitely
forgot.
confused.
All right. So my question is kind of a two-parter, and it is a little controversial. Are we still in playoff contention? And I know right off the bat, you're like, bro, we're like 12 games into the season. What, are you kidding me? But
Haven't won since March.
we won 2 games. We haven't won a game in 9 matches. We score on accident. We don't score on purpose. Defense is terrible.
Is this our
We just
first multi-goal game since the Galaxy?
Right?
I thought we. Oh God.
I
Did
don't
we-
think we've scored more than 1 goal since we played the Galaxy.
Let me double check real quick.
Well, Grayson, while you check on that, I'm going to answer this question, and I'm gonna sound like I've been sipping the Kool-Aid, but I was sipping the Kool-Aid last week, and it almost paid off.
We had 2 against LAFC as well.
Oh, yeah.
It was an own goal.
Yeah.
It was an own goal, so technically no.
Yeah.
I guess 2 against Union Omaha.
In MLS play, let's filter that search result a little bit.
But
And-
yeah, because we only scored 1 against Seattle. And then it was 1-0 to Philly, which at the time, like looking back at that, that's a good result. 1-0 to Austin.
LOL, a loss to Philly is a good result.
1-0 though. 1-0.
Yeah, I mean, no, it's not.
2-0 to
don't-
Sporting. 2-1 Columbus.
Look,
0-0 Vancouver is a good result.
that is an okay result. That's a good result because they
2-2
are
LAFC
unreal.
is a good result right now. Where
Drop
we're at,
points from
that's
a
a
winning
good
Those are
result.
good
position.
draws.
Drop points from a winning position.
4-1 Seattle.
We're desperate here, Jacob. We need something.
What do you guys think? Do you guys think we are still in playoff contention
Ethan.
right
Look,
now?
I'm gonna say that we're a third of the way through the season. We are bad through the first third of the season.
We
We're
are
bad.
ass, bro.
Like, we can say it. It's not really up for debate. All right. I've seen crazier though. All right. Sporting Kansas City made it into the playoffs by the skin of their teeth in our first year, and they ended up taking us out in round 1. So while it is unlikely, implausible, and would be a feat of MLS, I could see us still making the playoffs this season. Yeah. I do
Jacob.
believe that we are playoff contenders.
Jacob, you look sad.
Nah, dude, I think this is going to be the second year in a row we massively disappoint our fans. I don't think we are playoff caliber right now. Yeah, I mean, we just went through some of the results against teams that at the beginning of the season we were like, these are going to be good matches. And we beat Seattle earlier in the year, and they came back and beat our ass. 2-2 to LAFC. A really, really good team. No doubt about it. Drop points from a winning position. Vancouver, a draw against them, and we didn't look like the better team in that match. We looked honestly lucky to get out of there with a draw. Brian White had 2 clear-cut chances that anywhere except for the Midwest, Brian White scores. Yeah, no, I don't think we're a playoff caliber team, and I'm sure they're going to get busy in the summer transfer window, and people are going to leave, and we're going to bring in some great talent, and we're going to have another almost Cinderella run where it gives us a bunch of hope going into next year about what we could be. And then we're going to be sitting there 13 matches later wondering, are we frauds?
Question.
I don't know if we're defrauding anybody of anything right now. I don't think we have sold anyone a lie.
I was pretty hype on this season. I couldn't lie. I was convinced. I was convinced that we were title contenders based on the last.
I'm not asking are the City Boys frauds.
I am.
I'm
No.
asking is St. Louis City a fraudulent organization? I mean, bro, you go to a game, you spend over $100 on a ticket and concessions, and you don't win since March.
It's not looking great.
And it's also unentertaining ass soccer. Like, this was the most entertaining game we've had in some months. Yes or no?
No doubt. No doubt.
So, like, where is the bang for my buck? Like, at least the Cardinals aren't telling us the goal is to make the playoffs this year, and then they're taking the series sweep, or not series sweep, but they're taking the series from the Phillies. They scored 14 runs in a baseball game. We can't score 3 goals in a soccer game?
We're back, baby. But you did kind of lead me into my direct follow-up question, which is the summer transfer window. Since 2 out of 3 City Boys don't think we are still in playoff contention, you can't convince me. But what signings would you make if you were in Olaf's position? Olaf, Lutz, Diego Gagliani, all of the gang. If you were in their position, what signings would you make to bring this team to the promised land? I'm not asking for specific names. I want to know positions. Where do you think we need reinforcements or changes or depth or whatever? What do you got? I think obviously there's a couple hot seats right now.
Well, I will say that something that has been missing in this 9-game winless stretch has been goals. We haven't scored that many goals. We just got done talking about that. I would not mind seeing a pure goal scorer signed to the team, someone that can bring us 10 plus goals on a consistent basis. I am dying to see a player that we can celebrate all the time. So that's what I'm hoping for.
Can I bring in a second Conrad Vollum? Can I just
Conrad
have
squared
the Vollum twins on the team?
And by Vollum twin, you mean like left back, center mid, center attacking mid combo?
Yeah, just a very versatile, young, lot of energy in the legs, and has a good bit of shithousery to him.
I'd ask for the opposite, like not the exact opposite, like a shitty player that only plays. Like, I want a Conrad Vollum for the right side, who can play right wing back, center mid, right wing, whatever. But I think that would be great. I think
depth at CDM, because without Chris Durkin, our next option's fucking JGR. Blom's not coming back.
No.
Yeah, Blom's gone.
Trophy
I don't
winner,
really want to see Blom back, to be fair. I don't think he fits this system either.
Are you guys how are you guys feeling about the full-time acquisition of Simon Betcher?
Well, in the moment, I really liked it. I think Simon is a great player for St. Louis City. There is not a player that has lived up to their price tag right now, just based on production. Based on effort, energy, sometimes, sure, I'll buy it. In terms of production,
with everything that's gone on recently, it definitely doesn't seem like that big of a deal. Like,
yeah,
it was just something that the club did to maybe satisfy some fans, or maybe Betcher was like, I really love it here. I'm a fairly cheap purchase, so just sign me full-time to be depth at the striker position.
Mm-hmm.
Which is like cool, because right now he is just subbing on for Klaus, which I don't think is the right managerial move. But yeah, I mean, it is what it is.
I think it's a better depth striker than Thor.
Thor's kind of tearing it up right now.
kind of
I
is
would
a
say in a lesser
big
league,
word.
though.
Kind
Yes,
of is a
lesser
big word.
league.
I think he's got a couple goal contributions, much different than Isaac Jensen, who is really tearing it up right now. I think he had, I want to say like 2 or 3 free kick goals in a game I saw recently, maybe a hat trick of free kicks. I remember seeing this somewhere on obscure Twitter, and it was very good. So, but he is not on loan. He is gone from the club. So, no dream in there. I think personally, I would love to sign a ace of a center back, like a center back that can play in a back four with confidence, will be a stalwart next to Kessler.
And
I
stays
think,
healthy.
and stays healthy. I do think that sadly, Joachim Nilsson is starting to fall under question. He has been healthy the past couple weeks, and we have not seen him over Yarrow and Hebert.
To be
So
fair, I don't really want him rushed back though either.
well, he's been back for like 3 weeks. He's been on the bench.
How long ago was it you tore your ACL?
Last year, November.
How often we playing soccer right now, Grayson?
I ain't playing soccer at all.
It took me a long time to get back to full leg strength after my ACL tear. I know he
Yeah.
didn't tear his ACL, but that boy's
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
hamstrings are made. My new ACL is made from my hamstring.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying is like Nilsson isn't playing either way. Like we might be protecting him, but he's still not playing.
We
Like
might be
he's not.
protecting
He's
him
not.
to sell him.
That's what I'm saying. Is like he is. It's looking like he's not
A part of the plan for the
a
future.
part of this plan. Like because it's obvious that we
Well
have
said.
issues at center back. I think we need to be rotating. It's not happening. So I
Yeah.
do think he might be one of the players in the hot seat. I think that has been mentioned before. I love Nilsson. I've seen some great moments from him. Sadly, there was a couple questionable moments at the beginning of the season this year, but I think at the very beginning of the year with him and Kessler, we looked really nice. So I don't know.
I don't
We'll see.
disagree. I don't disagree.
We'll see. We'll see. Any other signings you want to see in this team? And Ethan, follow-up question. You said goal scorer. Are you specifically talking about a striker?
I think so. Yeah, I think that we have enough quality on the wings to succeed in the MLS. I love João Klaus. I do. I even toxically at this point. The reality is that his production is too low. And that's not just for St. Louis City. That would be in any. There is no MLS team in which that is an okay number of goals to be scoring for a DP level striker. That's the reality now. It's unfortunate. I don't want to harp on it too much, and I'm going to support him. I'm going to cheer loud for João Klaus. That's just the reality. So I think I do want
I
a
do
number
think
9 and number 10.
I do think he's gotten the fans love him treatment, and that's why the leash has been so long. But at some point, the roster has to be looked at more on the business end of things if the production is not there.
And we know the club has it in him. We saw it with Tim Parker. So, like that, to me, that was a moment that I've been afraid of since season 1 was like, it's going to hurt when eventually we move on from players like Edu Leuven and players like João Klaus. Like, the guys.
Okay, I would rather have a championship without João Klaus on the team than no chips with João Klaus on the team.
It's true.
Mm-hmm.
It's true.
Mm-hmm.
And in my victory speech, I will shout out the former players who came and tried. But I will
built the
root for the
foundation.
ones who fucking win it. And right now, he is not putting us in a position to win it.
Yeah.
I love you, Klaus. And also,
just-
you can't fucking score, homie.
Please.
Like, yeah, man.
It's been pain.
That's
The
tough to
final
see.
signing I would like to see us make, which is going to segue great into Ethan's question, is a manager.
Yeah, gentlemen, it is looking as if we have discovered the problem, at least in my mind, because I think as days go by, I am more and more Olaf out. And the reason being because the squad is not too dissimilar from last season where we did see success, we did see goal scoring, we did see exciting soccer under John Hackworth. Okay. And I was an advocate for Hackworth's signing at the time. I thought that he would gain that full time position. I really, I was the damn near the head of the campaign for
Did you?
Mr.
Yeah.
Hackworth. And
I
we
do
went
think you
out.
are president of the Hackworth
I
for
mean,
Manager
dude,
Club.
I was really out there on the trail campaigning for our boy, but no, we went out. We got a guy from Brommapoikarna in Sweden, an unknown to the MLS kind of guy, a former Aston Villa defender who seems to have lots of potential, seems to know what he's doing when it comes to developing youth talent, and so far it hasn't panned out. I will say it's early. We're only a third of the way through the season, but compare, which isn't it's not good in some situations, but in sports it is very appropriate. And I'm going to compare him to someone we know very well, Mr. Bradley Carnell, who has had pretty much the exact same amount of time in Philadelphia, maybe a little more preseason, which maybe the exact same amount of MLS season in Philadelphia and has taken them to second in the East. St. Louis City are 13th or 14th in the West. I don't know if Bradley Carnell could coach us to second in the West or a better position in the West. I don't think he is the
He
solution.
fucking coached
However,
us to first.
the question that I want to pose to you guys is, assuming we're Olaf out and assuming that a new managerial search has already begun, because surely there are names on the list. I'm not going to ask you guys for a specific name because
Oh, I got one.
just having manager names in your back pocket is low-key crazy. But what are you hoping to see from a St. Louis City manager if it's not Olaf? Is it a different tactical approach? Is it the same kind of Red Bull energy drink soccer that we saw in year one? Is it a completely different changeup? I'm curious because at this point I'm Olaf out and I just want to see a different brand of St. Louis soccer. Jacob, who would you pick?
Oh, you gonna come to me first?
You have an answer ready,
Yeah.
a name to drop.
I want y'all to prepare for the conversation that we're gonna have after I bring it up. The person I'm thinking of is a two-time MLS Cup champion as a manager, also won it as a player, is a two-time U.S. Open Cup champion as a manager. Took this team to 8 straight playoff appearances. Coached them for 20 years. Give me Peter fucking Vermees, baby.
Dude, you
Give
are
me Peter Vermees.
a borderline blasphemous right
Give me
now.
Peter Vermees. Stick it to him one more
Seriously.
fucking time.
Would you really take Peter Vermees standing in front of St. Louis City's bench?
Not gonna lie,
He's a pretty good coach.
I feel like if I were a Kansas City fan, we just fired Peter Vermees for being terrible, and then we beat our rivals and they sign our shitty old coach. I'm celebrating that. I do not want Peter Vermees, as much of a good coach as he is, I do not want him touching my club.
He's got 4 chips to his name as a manager and 1 as a player.
As far as I'm concerned, that guy is toxic waste in the Midwest of the MLS. Keep him out of here. He can go anywhere
Shiny
on
toxic
either
waste.
coast.
Were you the one that also wanted to sign Johnny Russell too?
No, I don't think so.
Okay, good.
I wouldn't take Johnny Russell either.
I don't think I said that.
I would have before I saw the MLS show or whatever. I can't remember the name of the show, but if you call
No,
St. Louis a shithole, we're not signing you.
Sporting
Period.
Kansas City earned a new Johnny Russell in my eyes with Jensen Miller. What a nerd.
He is. I didn't realize that he was from St. Louis, and that makes it worse.
Did we used to practice at Parkway North with AC Portavia or Parkway West?
I think
Hey,
it's West.
yeah, we practiced at that middle school a lot.
We practiced at the same place this guy went to high school, I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty sure he went to Parkway West, which is unbelievable. Small world, the world of St. Louis
Yeah.
soccer.
Okay, but let me get into my answer because that's ridiculous.
It's gonna make for a great clip, though.
Yeah, true. I think that's very funny. And as you know, objectively, he'd probably do a fine job, but I don't. I don't think his style fits us. And no, no way. Uh, what I want from St. Louis City's management, I don't have a name for you, but I do have a tactic. It's not anything new. I truly believe that the most successful soccer clubs in the world are teams that maintain their identity. I've mentioned this before. Teams like Barcelona, teams like Ajax, teams like Bayern Munich,
Inter Milan.
PSG. These are teams that have a distinct style of play that does not change. New managers will come in and tweak it, but they pick their managers based on that style of play. And if I remember correctly, season one, Lutz Pfannenstiel said that St. Louis's identity was high press, high energy football, and that will stay regardless of the manager. We immediately have a manager who does not play high press, does not play high energy football. He sits back, we play defense, that's it. I don't want this anymore. We've said it many times that we don't care if you lose as long as you play entertaining football. I disagree with that statement. I want to win, but I agree we need to play entertaining football. And high press, high energy football is entertaining because it opens up the game. We suffocate teams. We force them to try and cut us apart. When they do it, hopefully it'll look good and, whatever. But, like, for me, St. Louis needs to stick to the identity that we decided that we chose. High press, high energy.
That we built a roster around.
We don't have to be doing this at all times. What I really liked at the beginning of John Hackworth was that he immediately brought us into a hybrid high press mid block where we would press with the moment, kind of almost what we do now. We press with the moment, but it's so much more scarce in this city club now. We really just fly back to midfield. We have our strikers press here and there, but it's not the full field press that we saw in season one. So that's what I want to see is someone that can bring back the identity of St. Louis City that we had, that we chose, and we just immediately went back on it. Granted, I do think it was a tactical decision to bring in someone to lock down our defense, but at the expense of our offense, that's a net zero. We haven't fixed anything then, creating more problems for ourselves. So that's my answer. I don't really have a manager in mind, but I think there's a lot of managers that would fit our style in the MLS. I think Jim Curtin's name gets tossed around a ton, but
Yeah, I think Jim Curtin's name is an easy one to toss out there as someone with a proven MLS track record, someone that understands the league and generally would fit into almost any MLS team. I also think there's a lot of merit to having a coach that has either played in the MLS or coached in the MLS before, just someone that understands it and gets the nuances as well as weird schedule of the league. I can understand how maybe for someone like Olaf Melberg coming into it as a first timer, it's like, okay, I have adjustments to make. This is different from the Premier League in not just style of play. So I think a former proven MLS coach could be good. But, I'm not going to ask the question and not come prepared with an answer, gentlemen. I think that St. Louis City have done much of its player recruiting from the Bundesliga 2. What about a manager from the Bundesliga 2? And I have a very interesting name that I just learned recently is a current coach in the Bundesliga 2, and that is Miroslav Klose, the former German national team player.
Yo.
So he has spent a little bit of time coaching at Bayern Munich. He's coached in Austria. Of course, he is like one of the all-time leading World Cup goal scorers. I
I think
think
he
he
still
is.
is.
And won plenty in Germany with very successful Bayern Munich teams. Honestly, guys, I know it's a good looking name on paper. It's a historical soccer name. I would like it more than Olaf Melberg. I'll say that.
Yeah, I'd have to, take a look at his tactics and whatnot, but like just for the name and for the player itself, like, okay, I'll take him. Okay. Like,
Yeah,
what a
it's
player.
just
What a player.
purely speculative on my end. I don't know anything about his tactics or if he'd be a good fit for City.
I
Probably not, all
wonder.
things considered.
I wonder if with the new the cash trade rule, if that also extends to managers. If we could purchase slash trade for someone else's manager.
Yeah, we'll give you Olaf and you give us Pep Guardiola.
We will take one Wilfred Nancy, please. Thank you.
Thank you. If he can get AZ playing good, then
Oh my.
This
yeah.
episode's already been fucking sour enough. Did you really have to mention his name?
Yeah.
Well, to answer my own question, I would just like to see someone that brings that high energy soccer. We were expecting nonstop players this season, and I think we got it early on. Like seeing Timo Baumgartel run box to box as a center back was crazy. It was weird seeing Josh Yarrow get up the wing at some points and see Kyle Hebert in attacking positions in the preseason. So I think that we have potentially just not gotten what we expected from the team. That's why I'm Olaf out. I don't think he's the manager for St. Louis City right now.
Including preseason, Kyle Hebert has more goals scored this year than Joao Klaus.
Oh my God.
What a fantastic way to get into something that I find just a little bit more enjoyable. I'm gonna wrap up the Q&A session there, boys. That's harsh.
Yeah.
Let's move into a battle that I believe St. Louis City easily wins. Everyone's favorite segment, Kit Clash. Ding, ding, ding.
Ding, 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 ding. Yep, so we're facing City's Forever City Red home kit up against Kansas City's kit. I think they also wore their home kit. Am I correct? They wore their home kit last time? So let's rate their away kits then. How about that?
Oh, well, I've got their home kit on the screen.
We'll take it off. No,
That's a lot of effort to get it
No.
back on the screen.
no, you can leave it there, but I think we should rate the away kits.
If you give me 5 minutes, I could have the away kit on the screen.
No, don't worry about it.
Look, the Sporting Kansas City kit that they played us in, boo, lame, bad, not a fan. Keep it. Not creative, in my opinion.
Okay. I see it now. Yeah, we talked about their kit earlier this year, when we lost 2-0. Just kind of bland. It's got hoops. Nice baby blue. But the one that I think we should rate today is the Kansas City away kit, which is right here. I'll put it up in the edit, but
Just slap it over the one I've already got on the screen.
this kit is, to me, a classic Kansas City kit, and by classic I mean 2012 classic Kansas City. After the rebrand, it's got the Argyle. What else are you gonna say about it? It's Kansas City. It's gonna have Argyle. So, I mean, I think it's a little bit better than the home kit, in my opinion. I think I probably gave the home kit like a 3 or something. So I'm gonna give this one a 3.5. Wow. Navy blue, Argyle. I think the Argyle is better this time. It's 3 blocks of Argyle going up the center. It's fine, but I can't give you over a 5.
I'm going to
Sorry.
give it a 4 because that's the amount of points they have on us this year. That's the amount of goals they've scored on us this year. And that's the amount of points this kit's going to get this year.
Oh,
Quality, Jacob. Man, I do like the Argyle. I like the navy blue. I just don't dig that pattern. It doesn't do it for me. I would prefer something else. I don't know. Maybe I'm just biased because I really don't like Sporting Kansas City. Probably that's the case.
that's
I'm
probably
gonna go for a
yeah.
low rating as well. It's a 3 for me.
You're never getting above 5, KC. It's just not happening. St. Louis gets 3 points from Kid Clash. We can put that on the MLS table, please. Thank you very much.
Really
Moving
quickly,
on. Oh, yeah.
I'm going to throw up some TIFOs.
Yeah.
We gotta show love to the Tifo. Before we move on to the preview, we have to conclude with maybe the best moment of the game.
Yeah, so I actually didn't see the TIFO. So if you want to explain it to me like I'm stupid, please do, because I'm stupid.
Okay, well, I have the blueprints for it on the screen right now. This is before it makes it onto the actual Tifo canvas, but it is a fire-breathing dragon in the STL Santos colors. Shout out STL Santos for making the Tifo. It bangs.
Incredible.
And the dragon is breathing fire into a cauldron. The Casey.
I get it.
The Casey
I get it.
cauldron. And then it says "True Hell Burns Rojo" at the bottom.
Oh, that's clean. Oh, that sounds fire.
If you don't know, the Sporting Kansas City fan supporter section call themselves the Blue Hell.
Yeah.
Boo, bad, lame.
That's a hard TIFO. Shots fired. I love that.
And then this is getting the whole screen because this is such a fire picture. It's got the Tifo in the background, Celio kind of not in focus, just off to the left of it. And then you see the supporter section in the background as well. Just chef's kiss to whoever took that photo. It is so money.
See, I'm pulling up right here.
If you check our DMs with Isabel.
Oh, yeah, I did see that, yeah.
Yeah.
Beautiful. Beautiful TIFO. I've honestly, I've wanted to see some more TIFOs already this year, so I'm glad. I think it was important that we had one for this match. So shout out Santos, always providing beautiful artwork. I know it takes a lot of time and manpower to put those things together, so, shout out.
Almost went to help. Almost went to help. Do have a busy week-to-week schedule, but if I had some more time in my life, I was definitely down to go paint a little section, get a little artistic,
Yeah, get after it. Get after it. Well, last but not least, hopefully not least, we've got a matchup this weekend against Minnesota United.
And then
Yeah, we do.
Minnesota United again.
And then Minnesota United again.
In the Open Cup.
So Minnesota United, if you guys hadn't noticed, is quite good. They're pretty good. They're currently sitting in third place in the West, 7 wins, 4 losses, 2 draws, plus 9 goal difference. Oh wait, I was reading San Diego. My bad. 6
You are
wins,
hilarious.
4 draws, 3 losses, plus 6 goal difference on 22 points. That is double what we have right now.
Oh,
What are
my
we thinking?
Shays.
Minnesota's an interesting team, all right, because this is a team that I think they went to Miami and beat them 4-1. Or Miami came to them. I can't remember. They smacked around Miami, though. And Miami is definitely one of the best teams in the league. That is without a
I
doubt.
think it was at Miami.
Yeah, they beat Miami 4-1 last week.
Yeah.
That that is a crazy result for any MLS team, nonetheless, one from Minnesota. Then they go to Houston and they lose 2-0 in the middle of the week. I do not understand that at all. I don't understand how Minnesota could have lost that game at all. Houston is very much underperforming this season. And you know what? That gives me a little bit of hope going into this game, if I'm being completely honest.
Yeah, it looks like I'm looking at the stats because I did, of course, miss all the midweek matches because I was at work. So this is a surprise to me. I actually did not know that they lost to Houston, but it looks like nobody on Minnesota had a good game. It looks like they kind of played a a, a lesser side. Like they didn't really play a lot of their starters
Rotated.
in attack. They definitely rotated. Of course, Yaboa did start. He did not have a good match, and that is the player that I'm gonna say is the most dangerous on the team against St. Louis. St. Louis. Yaboa loves a game against St. Louis City. So I think he's definitely my one to watch out for. Robin Lod, of course, always a
Oluwaseyi.
danger. Alawashe Palangwane is good as hell. He had a great goal last week, not against Houston, but so I think it's great that we are getting to see Minnesota possibly in a bad run of form that could be beneficial for us. We need to bounce back. At the same time, I don't have that much of an expectation from this match, and that hurts my feelings. At the same time, St. Louis City, we could upset a team. Like we beat Seattle this year when Seattle was
Dude, at
injured,
this point,
out
any
of
win feels
form.
like an upset.
So exactly, like at some point, like if we can't beat Kansas City, who can we beat in this league? And I think St. Louis City is going to get wins in unexpected places this season if we get wins. So Minnesota, I don't think it's likely we get points, but I'd love to at least get one. That would be lovely. But what do you guys think?
I think we lose 3-0.
Wow, rough. I hope we at least put one goal in. I'm going for a 3-2 loss with Jande Silva scoring.
I'm going 2-1 loss with a goal from Thomas Ostrich. Cedric Toykert stole his goal this week, so I think Ostrich's going to take it himself. And I was almost feeling myself during that Kansas City match because I said, if you remember, I was like, "Yo, we're gonna win 3-1. We're gonna score two. They're gonna score one. It's gonna seem like they're coming back, and then we're gonna bury a third." Sadly, we did not get that third. They took that from us. So I'm not gonna make any specific prediction because I don't want it to bite my ass again. I think this is going to be an interesting one. Julian Gressel is back at Minnesota. That he is their newest signing back into the team. So
Don't sleep on Anthony Markinich, one of the best left backs in the league.
did not play in this midweek matchup. So
They were
we'll have
resting
to-
their star
Oh,
left back.
he is injured.
Oh.
He is
Oh,
injured.
that's a shame. He scored against Inter Miami.
Mid-June is what we're looking like there, and we're also missing Kip Keller is also a United player. So, I would love it if they could just rush him back into the starting lineup for a nice assist. That'd be just lovely. But they also got a player suspended with a red card at the moment too. So I don't know if he'll be back, but that is Josef Rosales. Any final notes on these coming up matches? Guys, it was kind of a bummer of an episode, not gonna lie, but what do you expect? We'll try to have some good, happy content coming up in the future, but that's on St. Louis City here.
Yeah, we are slightly at the mercy of the team that we support as far as the vibes of the episode.
Yeah.
Well, gentlemen, with that being said, I'm going to wrap this one up. I appreciate you if you made it this far. Thank you for listening. Do not forget to like, comment, and subscribe if you're listening on YouTube. If you're listening on Spotify, please give us a rating, drop a review if you're feeling saucy. Most importantly, do not forget to tell your mother you love her, and we will see you next week. STL.
STL. STL.